Trying desperately to find anything of note from Nick Sirianni postgame, and so far nothing. So John McMullen will join us a little bit later in the program, let us know what was said postgame, the Eagles locker room, and all that fun stuff. But please welcome into the show right now, Kayla Santiago, who will be a part of JAKIB Media for the football season. Looking forward to talking more with Kayla here. Kayla, hello, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you guys so much for having me, getting ready for the season. I'm glad that preseason's over just a little bit. I'm ready to see Jalen Hurts and company back on the field.
Yeah, but Bill and I were talking about it earlier when it came to Anthony Richardson and his celebration there in the end zone. A little much for a preseason game?
A little bit too much, and he's already going to have an enemy in Eagles fans coming out in the regular season for sure. I definitely think everybody didn't want to see that. He was getting ready to ball out right there, and I do understand it. But from an Eagles perspective, just a little bit too much. You got to wait till week 1 at least to do that.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. But, hey, he's excited. He's a rookie. We'll give him a pass. But he tries to do that again in Philly, he's going to have some problems, obviously. So you said you're excited to see Jalen Hurts in the regular season. Who else are you most excited to see coming up in a couple days here? What are we at, 10 days out?
About that, yeah, I'm really excited to see Kenny Gainwell. I was really impressed with what he was able to do last year, especially in the postseason, and I'm excited to see that duo between him and Jalen Hurts. I get DeAndre Swift might be that guy right there, but I think Kenny Gainwell is going to have that breakout season this year, and you're going to see a lot of him on the offensive side. And I know you guys were talking about the secondary a little bit earlier on. I'm really excited to see Sidney Brown, and I'm not saying that he's going to be the guy, but I'm excited to see what he'll be able to do from week 1 and then throughout the season. He's going to be a guy that really, really needs to grow from the start to the finish, but he's only a rookie, and I'm excited to see what he can do on the field, especially with this team, the defensive leadership.
Certainly, and it's something that a lot of us are looking forward to. Anything that you have gotten from Sean Desai is kind of this enigma. 1 year a coordinator, obviously, in Chicago. Then he was studying under Pete Carroll in Seattle, and now all of a sudden he's the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator. Anything jump out to you about Sean Desai, maybe a little bit more blitzing, anything like that as far as the preseason has gone that you've learned about the Eagles' new defensive coordinator?
I do like the blitz a lot, and I think this year they're going to need to do that a little bit more. It is a little bit worrisome because I feel like year after year, DC is especially what the Eagles are dealing with, and it has hurt them in the previous seasons, especially last year with Gannon. I do want to see the blitz a little bit more this year, and I think that will be effective for them. We'll see if he does it, but I want him to kind of adjust on the fly this year. He's new to this Eagles team, and that's what we really didn't see with Gannon last year. I felt like he just wanted to stick to his game plan, whether it worked or it didn't. We need to see a difference at defensive coordinator this year from that standpoint.
Yeah, I went and looked earlier this week because there's been so much high praise on Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. So I wanted to see what was the rookie sack record for a Philadelphia Eagle, and it was Corey Simon with 9.5 sacks. You think that this Jalen Carter can do that in his rookie season with the high praise he's been getting from these veterans?
I absolutely do think so. I am so excited to see this kid out there on the field this year. He's the real deal, and I think that everybody knows that, and just him dealing with what he dealt with, being able to come in and say, listen, I'm going to play football. This is the team I'm going to play with. And everybody knows the Eagles locker room. It's really welcoming. The chemistry is there. And the years that they've been successful, it's been because of that chemistry right there. If Jalen Carter is getting that high praise, he's doing something right. And I do think that he's going to be a guy kind of like Micah Parsons was on the defensive end of things for the Cowboys his rookie year. I think Jalen Carter's that guy for Philadelphia.
All right, so how am I supposed to feel then about Nolan Smith? Because I've been saying Jalen Carter is certainly going to be a guy that is going to have I think, a great rookie year and all that stuff. But as far as flashy numbers, like you talk about 9.5 sacks, when I think of that number, and I didn't know that, Bill, it's great work out of you. I think of a flashy number, I'm attaching that number to Nolan Smith before I'm attaching that number to Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter is still going to be a more impactful player, but when it just comes to the splash numbers, the sexy numbers, I think it could be a guy like Nolan Smith. What are your expectations for Nolan Smith helping out Hassan Reddick in that pass rush, Kayla?
I think it's the same thing, and you want to see that from the Eagles, especially you don't want to get that past the front with the linebacker situation as well. So if Nolan Smith can kind of step up on that edge this year, it's really going to make a difference for Philadelphia. That was their strength, you could say, a season ago as well. If he's able to do that, that's what you have to expect. And for me right now, just looking at how he's played and how he's played in college, I do think that he can make that impact on the Eagles side. And listen, I think fans are already going to expect that. So if he's not doing that with all the talk around him and the positive comments around him, I think it might be a little bit of a problem. Listen, though, he's young. He's going to have some mistakes, but I do think by the end of the season, he's also going to be a big name. I think that this year, as much as I really like Jalen Hurts and Kenny Gainwell and all the great receivers the Eagles have, I think defense is going to be a reason why they go so far this season.
Wow. I like it. I like it. And Farzy, Nolan Smith has a chance to break the most sacks by a rookie defensive end. That's held by Derek. That's held by Derek Burgess, who only had 6 sacks, and that's the rookie record. So maybe Nolan Smith.
That's nothing. That's
that.
That's chump change. That's nothing for a guy like Nolan Smith. I missed that defensive lineman, Miscusi. Kayla, when you look at the offensive side of things, it's going to come down to a bunch of guys that will get a lot of touches, whether that's even Dallas Goedert and that's AJ Brown and that's, obviously Devontae Smith and that's your running backs who are just going to, I think, have a very good season. Just the running back position for the Eagles, I think, is going to have a very good season. Is there one guy that you see Jalen Hurts relying on more than others to help out this offense?
I would like to see Dallas Goedert get even more in the action this year. I know that Jalen likes to run and that we did see AJ Brown, that connection towards the end of last season. But I think if you're able to get Dallas Goedert involved, especially on those little slants, and Dallas Goedert is not like Zach Ertz. As much as I love Zach Ertz on the Philadelphia Eagles, Goddard is going to be able to get that catch and still push for 5 more yards. So I would like to see him and honestly Jack Stahl as well get a little bit involved. Those tight ends, I feel like we didn't see as much last year. And if Hurts can get all those guys involved, I don't know who's going to stop that offense.
A lot of the talk all offseason, especially from me, has been question marks with this defense. But is there anything on this offense that has you concerned going into the season?
I think it's just about the health, if I'm going to be honest with you. These guys making sure that they are able to stay consistent and stay healthy. And I think you especially look at Jalen Hurts because I don't know, when you get into the season and you look at the schedule, it's not like last year. This schedule is a lot more tougher than last year. And how many games can you have where Jalen Hurts is not the quarterback in these games where it might reflect your record, especially in the conference and the division? So I think it's just about health. I don't really have any big question marks right now at the moment. Maybe if there's some injuries, you do worry about the guys kind of backing up those tight ends and the wide receivers as well. But if these guys can stay healthy, I think you're looking at one of the best offenses in the National Football League.
Kayla, you have covered NFL drafts, you have covered World Series, and you've covered sports in the beautiful tropical Delmarva Peninsula, which I am somewhat familiar with. I am, if I'm not a child of Philadelphia, right after that, I'm a child of the Chesapeake Bay. Are you in or out on crab feasts?
Crab feasts are fun. I would say I'm in.
Some people don't like to pick the crab. Some people try to stay away from the crab. I just want to make sure I'm talking to somebody that's not afraid to pick the crab.
Never. It is a lot of work, I will say that, but it's always worth it, that's for sure.
The beer makes up for it. Beer makes up. You're not really working if you're drinking beer, you know what I'm saying? Kayla, I want to ask you one question. Bold prediction for this Philadelphia Eagles season. Hit me with it. What do you got?
Bold prediction, I don't think it's that bold, guys. I think that they're going to be on top of the NFC East this year. I think they go 13-4. The one game I do worry about a little bit is Jets and Eagles. For some reason, I feel like that might be one of the first losses of the Eagles season, but I think that they're going to go back to where they were last year. Now, they have a tougher schedule, but you can't sit here and tell me on paper that this Eagles team can end up where they were a season ago.
Yeah, I know you just made Jody McDonald, our host of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Media, very happy with your death prediction.
I mean, listen, I look at this team right now and I say Jalen Hurts is mad about last year, and that's where he wants to go this year. Now, I don't want any of them to have a little bit of that Super Bowl hangover like they had in 2017. They still get to the playoffs, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything super bold right now. I think you look at this team, you say Jalen Hurts is the leader. The only thing I ever worry about is hopefully it's not another Carson Wentz situation, but I think Jalen Hurts is a different guy, and I think you can see that just by the way the guys are rallying around him in the locker room too.
Absolutely. Yeah, going into that 2018 season too, there was all that question mark about should they be going with Foles? Should they be going with Wentz? Where there's a lot more security here. I don't think anyone's calling for them to go with Mariota this season. So
definitely not me.
We're okay on that. But I agree with you. I think the Eagles do repeat as the NFC East champions, but what team in the NFC East are you most concerned about?
As crazy as it sounds, I think the New York Giants, for whatever reason, the Dallas Cowboys to me always seem like they're really good on paper. They really have all this hype, and then they kind of fall down. I think the Giants did have a very good draft as well. And, not looking at the Eagles, the other team in the NFC East, I'm really curious to see what they're able to do this year. I think the Giants are going to put together a good few wins. I do have the Eagles splitting that season series just because they're rivals. That's usually what happens. And I think the NFC East right now, I think it's Eagles 1, and I do think it's Giants 2, and Cowboys behind them, and then Commanders.
The thing that gets me with the Giants, and I have zero respect, actually less than zero respect for Daniel Jones. You could just call me a Daniel Jones hater, and it's not just because he's a Giant. But the one thing about it is that I do think they're a better coach football team. I think they're a better coach football team than the Dallas Cowboys, and I think that certainly counts for something. But other than that, I would agree with you. The Giants could be right there over what the Cowboys could be bringing to the table. Kayla, Santiago, thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you more as the football season quickly approaches now that we're done with the preseason.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me, and go Birds.
Go Birds indeed. Kayla Santiago joining us right there from JAKIB Media. We appreciate her joining us right there on the Lehocky Postgame show. Now, coming up, we're going to be going to Lincoln Financial Field in a little bit, talk to our friend John McMullen of all the goings-on from the Eagles locker room, what was said by Nick Sirianni after the game, what we could expect, and why exactly. And I think Dan Cilio was pretty much on point here, Bill, when he talked about Marcus Mariota and just getting him out of the game when he was feeling good about himself because they want his confidence high going into the season. I think, the fact that he played in this game and played so shortly, briefly, just goes to confirm what everyone was pretty much assuming going into the game anyway, which is Marcus Mariota is your number 2 quarterback and the backup to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Sills was on fire tonight at midnight, right? He had a lot of energy tonight. But it was reported before the game that they were going to play Mariota for one series. And I think they probably had their fingers crossed that it wasn't going to be ugly. And it was okay. You just have to hope that we're not going to even have to find out this season whether or not our backup quarterback is good enough. Let's hope that Hurts puts together a full 17-game regular season and then into the playoffs.
Absolutely. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk to our good friend, John McMullen from Lincoln Financial Field of all that's happening at the Link post preseason game number